Morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
David Chai has a hand. Morning, Sean.
Morning, David. Hi, Jennifer.
Good morning.
Okay, we're just gonna give it a minute or two, folks.
White.
Red and white.
I used to walk
I
the red
remember
lights. The original. The little one, the little, they got a little marker there, please. Red and white store.
It was on the corner of Union and Lake. Mr. Mary's Red and White Store.
No, there was. Lake
Morning,
Avenue.
Cam.
Yeah.
Lake Avenue and South Park. That's the original.
We had one.
Say, it didn't become like a super duper.
Some hard copies there if you need anything.
No, super duper. Yeah, basically.
Had a lot of signs.
Sort of polish that part of their property there.
Yeah, well, I remember an illegals open in the sixties.
Oh, jeez. You all right, Norman?
Sorry.
Did I say it was the young one? No.
Okay.
Uh,
I should tell you, I remember going to the note machine and putting the quarters in to get the, that's a good like.
Me too. Milk was cheap. They drank more. milk
Sean
than
doesn't even know what we're talking about.
oh, yeah.
Quarter
No,
milk was nothing.
no, I don't remember.
Quarter milk.
How would we pour?
Used to down
Hey, we had the milkman.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, come
Used to
into the
deliver.
truck with the ice and stuff, yeah.
Roy.
They don't even hardly drink milk anymore. They used to drink-
Lactate. I mean, like all the soy milk and stuff. There's so many of these products out now.
Yeah. That's why the grocery business.
Well, we drink milk because of the kids. You know, when you got kids, we go through it. I don't drink a lot of milk. Do you?
Oh, yeah.
Wow. There's that big plant you see on the news with Cattaraugus County.
Well, that was getting some
Yeah.
flack from the landowner that they wanted the.
Well, that's
property.
why it moved from Allegheny. So there was originally in Allegheny County, and the IDA was trying to do this eminent domain. And it wasn't, the landowner wasn't selling the land. So
Not even.
they went to another site in Cat County.
They got
The hell, I don't know
You're-
that is-
free.
It's a
How could they? do that?
25-year
Aren't the people
pilot,
that bring the project?
20
forward
years
usually come to
tax-free.
the-
Yeah.
That's free. For 20 years.
and then the remaining 5 years are 50%.
When are you leaving? My wife said, is that legal? She thought it was that reducing type thing.
Yeah.
So how's the project going? Oh, okay. That's the question.
We have,
Who the hell is he talking to?
we do have the applicant on the line. He's here. He's quarantining, so you should be happy that he's not. So I'll get going. It's no excuse. David, I hope you're feeling okay as my board's beating you up. All right, we'll
Yeah,
get.
it's been interesting.
All right, let me turn up the volume here too. on my computer.
Can you hear me okay, Sean?
No, but I think it's on my end.
It's just your system.
Yeah, and I can't.
Good morning, everyone.
It's all right.
Okay, here we go. We got better volume now. All righty. This is a notice of public hearing, the Town of Hamburg Industrial Development Agency, Monday, September 20th, 2021, 8:30 a.m. in person and via Zoom video conference. Please take notice that the Town of Hamburg Industrial Development Agency will hold a public hearing to consider the following proposed financial assistance requested of the agency. Pursuant to Article 18-A of the New York State General Municipal Law, public hearing will be conducted electronically and in person as hereinafter described by the Town of Hamburg Industrial Development Agency, also known as the agency, on September 20th, 2021 at 8:30 a.m. regarding the project as described below. Said public hearing, given the ongoing COVID-19 public health crisis, the public may attend in person or via Zoom video teleconference. The special hearing logistics and instructions are at the end of the public hearing notice. Members of the agency will be in attendance at the Hamburg Village Hall, 100 Main Street, Hamburg, New York, 14075. Iskalo 17 Long LLC project request for agency assistance in the form of a lease-only or leaseback with mortgage transaction for a total project amount not to exceed $4,500,000. The assistance contemplated by the agency will include mortgage tax abatement, sales tax exemption on any materials and or equipment purchased for incorporation into project, and real property tax abatement in accordance with existing agency uniform tax exemption policy and guidelines as amended. Iskalo 17 Long LLC, the lessee, has entered into negotiations with the officials of the Town of Hamburg Industrial Development Agency with respect to leaseback with mortgage for the adaptive reuse and renovation of an approximately 28,890 square feet former grocery store at 17 Long Avenue, Hamburg, New York, by the lessee as agent for the agency for lease to the agency and lease back by the agency to the lessee. The project will allow the lessee to expand its operations and employment in the village of Hamburg. The agency will present information relative to this project and application at the public hearing. Persons interested may attend and will be given an opportunity during the public hearing to make statements. Also, written comments may be submitted to the agency at or before the hearing. In accordance with Section 859-A of the New York State General Municipal Law, a representative of the agency will present a copy of the company's project application, which is also available for viewing on the agency's website at www.hamburgida.com. Given the ongoing COVID-19 public health crisis, the agency will accommodate in-person public attendance and participation at this hearing, as well as electronic attendance as per the information below. In furtherance of the provisions of Section 859-A of the New York State General Municipal Law, requiring interested parties will be provided a reasonable opportunity, both orally and in writing, to present their views with respect to the project. We will provide access in person at Hamburg Village Hall, which is where we are today at 100 Main Street, or via Zoom teleconference. The agency also encourages interested parties to submit written comments to the agency, which will all be included within the public hearing record until the comment period closes on September 20th, 2021. Additional information can be obtained and written comments may be addressed to the Hamburg Industrial Development Agency, attention Sean Doyle, 6122 South Park, Hamburg, New York, 14075. Okay, the public hearing is now open. We don't need a motion to open it, right, Jennifer?
You should have a motion to open it. Yes, you do.
Okay, well, let me do attendance here because we have quorum, even though this isn't all we're addressing here is the public hearing. So we have Mayor Moses,
Here.
Bob Hutchison,
Here.
Cam Hall,
Here.
Norma Russer Kelly,
Here.
Bob Reynolds.
Here.
Thank you. Okay, motion to open the public hearing for Iskalo 17 Long LLC project at 8:34 a.m. Thank you.
Second.
Thank you, Cam. The meeting is now open. David, just so you know, David Chiesa is a representative from Iskalo Development and the project applicant. There have been no written comments received regarding this project, and there is no public in attendance in person at the Village Hall. This meeting is being streamed on YouTube, so there may be some people on YouTube, but they will not be able to submit questions, only participants via Zoom. So with the public hearing being open, David, would you like to add any information on the project? And I can talk to the board about some of the abatement modeling.
Thank you, Sean. Sure. Good morning, board members and attendees. Sorry, I can't be there, but I have a breakthrough infection of COVID. So I'm quarantined in the house, according to county. I get out of house arrest, I think, on Friday. And to make it more fun for all of you, I also got this at the same time. I got a pretty bad bout of poison ivy. So at a time I should be sleeping 24 hours a day, the steroids are keeping me awake for the poison ivy. It's a really weird week I'm spending. In any event, not to bore you with all my personal details, happy to talk about the project today. We purchased this building not long after we acquired Hamburg Village Square. You've seen the work that we've done at Hamburg Village Square. We're completing the last phase of improvements there. And we've really grown to like the village a lot. When we bought this property, we weren't quite sure what our long-term plans were for it. As you know the history better than I, it was started as a manufacturing site some 90 years ago, then became a supermarket. About 40 years ago, it was acquired by the prior owner to us, and they attempted to do a conversion of the former supermarket into other uses. Never quite finished the job. The buildings had sustained vacancy for a very long period of time. And in our evaluation of the building earlier this year, we thought it still had another chapter left in it, but clearly needed to be completely redone, comprehensively redone. Now, Hamburg Village Square, we were able to justify doing that without seeking any type of economic assistance. The market forces there allowed us to do that. This building, not quite the same. It's not as big a building, a lot of common area, needs a lot more work. We've had to do some remediation, environmental remediation on the property. We have a lot of asbestos in the roof. Our roof has got to be replaced. So it's a very expensive project for us to have to redo. And therefore we sought to seek some IDA assistance to kind of help us make this project happen. I think as is outlined in the application, we think there's some great benefits to the community for the project. I think first and foremost is it's going to take a building that really is kind of tired looking, certainly outdated, right next to historic Main Street, and kind of bring it up to the standards of what has been accomplished in the village and its village center. We're going to attract some new medical related tenancies that should hopefully create a hub of medical services serving the village and town residents as well as neighboring communities, and increase both employment and visitation to the building, which will naturally result in increased spin-off economic benefit to restaurants and other businesses located in the village. And eventually, even though we think the building's presently overassessed, by the time we get it done and we lease it up, it'll increase valuation and increase property tax revenue to the taxing jurisdiction. So at the end of the day, I think it's a win-win for everyone, provided that the IDA can grant the assistance. And I look forward to answering any questions you might have.
Thank you, David. Does the board have any questions? Do you have any questions on the modeling, the jobs?
Is this gonna be possibly a 24-hour service? David?
We're not, I see like an urgent care facility or something. We're not expecting any 24/7 operations in there, no.
Okay. That was the only thing, I mean, with the residents and everything around there, I mean, obviously we get a lot of residents feedback, but I just wondered if it was a 24-hour operation.
What type of tenants would we expect? Like an orthodontist kind of thing, or like?
Yeah, more traditional medical services related. We don't have prospects. We have not really heavily marketed the building yet for that purpose, but we're looking for medical related services and could be medical related retail. I mean, we'd like to look for a surgical supply store, something like that could serve the community. That's related to medical or any other medical services that we think would be complementary to the services that are already in the building. There are 3 medical tenants in the building currently.
Is there a reason we're focused on medical services, like a traditional retail would not be appropriate there, or?
Well, the reason for that is typically medical services tend to congregate, and they many times are complementary in the services they provide. So where we have other medical buildings, the co-tenancies or the tenancies tend to complement each other, and the type of mix of clientele coming into the building doesn't always mix well with other types of things. So to have retail and medical together sometimes doesn't quite work well when you have a building with common areas. So generally medical buildings tend to be fairly homogeneous in their use.
You're going to,
But that doesn't mean you can't have accessory or medically related retail, as I mentioned, surgical supply store or a wellness center, that type of thing.
you're going to retain the existing tenants, correct?
Well, no, the existing tenants have long-term leases. We think they're good tenants, and they are in there for the term of their leases, or should they stay longer.
That building had some functional obsolescence. I know it was never completely built out, but there was also, like you say, common area. Are you gonna reduce that and increase your leasable space then?
Well, so the common areas that are there, yes, the building's not, if we're building that building from scratch, we wouldn't be building a square building that works well for a supermarket, but not well for office space. But so we're kind of stuck with the core of the building that's there. It's going to be completely redone, including elevator cabs and restrooms and everything. So it'll be updated, and the building's identity, its appearance will completely change. There's some space in the building that the prior owner never converted, so we have to go in there and prepare that for tenancy. And then there's some interior tenant spaces that at one time, it was not a crime to have a doctor's office that didn't have any windows at all. Today, you don't find that too often, and we're working hard to bring in some additional natural light, putting windows in, enlarging windows, and putting windows in where there aren't currently windows to bring some natural light into some of those interior tenant spaces that have been vacant for upwards of a decade. So the building will not appear to be quite as obsolescent when it's done. It is today, and that's why it's struggling to attract tenants.
Can you talk a bit about the incentives, Sean? Because I know there's some unique
Sure.
structure.
The incentive modeling it's a deviation from the standard UTEP, the Uniform Tax Exemption Policy. What this is an assessment freeze. So essentially what will happen is the building, as David had mentioned, has about 40% vacant space. So the building, the assessed value of a building typically parallels the cash flow of the building. So with the building having a large amount of vacancy, the cash flow is not good, thus the valuation is less. Current assessed value of the building is $674,000. So that's the assessed value put upon by the town, and that's after the equalization rate. So they're paying based on 674,000 in the taxable value per thousand. So the developer will then go ahead and invest this money, this $4.5 million, and look to boost employment, boost occupancy, and boost building valuation over there. Best guess estimate, so this is a forecast by the town assessor, so we don't know this, but we would anticipate that as the building is rehabbed, is more visually appealing, is more functional in its capacities, and then thus has greater leasing capacity, we anticipate that to increase to about $763,000. So assuming we're essentially doing a budget guess or a best guess estimate of what that new assessed value would be based on these improvements, based on more improved cash flow. What the IDA is proposing for these to maintain these 20 jobs, add 10 jobs, and again, due to the fact that you're kind of dealing with administrative, management, and then medical professional, the range is higher. So we're looking at about $60,000 on average per job. So some of those would be, lower administrative positions, and then the medical professionals, could be, making well into the six figures. So we would freeze the current assessment. So instead of proposing some arbitrary assessment that we really don't have an idea on what that is or what it will be, we were proposing that the IDA board agree to allow the Iskalo 17 Long project to maintain its current assessed value of $674,000 for the next 5 years. After that 5-year period, then so there's essentially an abatement or a pilot freeze on that. And then after that 7th year, after the 5th year, going into the 6th year, then the building would be, essentially have a higher assessed value and be taxed at its full assessed value. So it's not a percentage decrease. It's essentially we're freezing the payments in hopes that a couple of things can happen. It can be ambitious for new development. It can make financial sense, so the developer can make this investment of $4.5 million into the project. And then ideally the building can somewhat, I would say, stabilize in terms of its return on investment. And then they can manage the added cash flow outlay of the new assessed value. In addition to that, there's mortgage recording tax. So we're proposing, we'll back up a little bit. So we're proposing with that pilot freeze, there would be essentially a discount of $33,606 over that 5-year exemption period to the taxing jurisdictions. In addition to that incentive, there would be a mortgage tax incentive. So based upon the amount financed, the mortgage tax incentive would be $33,750. And then finally, the sales tax on non-production equipment. So the sales tax discount for the exemption on the project would be $167,147. So that's essentially the abatement model. Does that help, Cam?
Thank you. Yes,
You're welcome.
it does.
So Mayor, you'd still be getting some income coming in the property.
Correct.
So that's good. So we didn't lose everything. That's over.
So we'd be getting everything you're getting today.
Pretty much.
You're getting everything you're getting today. And as David had mentioned, I think the building's kind of in a position where it needs more stability, so we could be trending in a position where the project would be continuing a decline in terms of its financial performance and could essentially be paying less to the taxing jurisdictions based on a challenge of the assessed value. So I think with this partnership with Iskalo and the IDA, we can look at supporting them on this investment into the property in hopes that it will be a windfall for the taxing jurisdictions.
So the real incentive for them is the sales tax and mortgage tax.
Well, there's
And
three.
you're-
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about, let me flip back
Well,
to
that's
the
just
exact
good.
numbers.
People understand like why we're doing this stuff.
Certainly in terms of dollar value, the largest incentive would be the sales tax.
Which is good. And I assume they signed it later.
Yep, we have all the agreements. Iskalo 17 Long has all the village approvals and the environmental approvals were not required. There wasn't a seeker required, but they've gone through the village planning department.
How long do they anticipate that this is going to take place, or it have to take place, the renovation?
David, I don't know if you heard that. Can you talk to the construction timeline?
Sure. We had held out some hope that we might be able to get some work started this fall. We have some items getting ready to go out to bid, but a lot of the work is exterior, so we're going to have to make a decision at some point in time whether we try and get it started this fall, which is a distinct possibility, or we defer until next spring to tee it up for then. Contractor availability, supply availability has been a challenge throughout the construction industry, and we don't want to start something and find out we can't get the supplies that we need, and then we got a project that kind of lingers through winter and increases our costs. So we don't have a final decision on that yet, but we're trying to get started this fall with some work, even if it's just on the inside. But more than likely, the latest it would happen in the spring, and it'll be done in one building season.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope that the availability of materials, like you said, is going to be.
Yeah. So anticipated completion would probably be the end of construction season 2022. So
Yeah, it may not even take that long. If we didn't start this fall, we started first thing in the spring. Then a second, I have another call coming. Just want to make sure I got rid of it. You can still hear me, okay?
yes.
This is maybe a 6-month project, all said and done. The interiors will take longer because some of the budget that we have shown in the application for interiors, other than the common areas, would be completed as tenants are known. Medical space tends to have fairly expensive build outs. Well, we'll be gutting the existing spaces, excuse me, and kind of putting in what we call vanilla boxes. At the end of the day, we'll have to come back in and then improve those tenant spaces for those tenants once they become known. So that work will linger a little bit longer. But the work that the public will see, generally speaking, the common areas and the building exterior would all be done, the first 4 to 6 months of the project. And it may even take that long.
Thank you. Any other questions?
So the abatement's gonna start this, let's say the next tax year for 2020.
Yeah, the project would likely close in 2022. You know, depending upon when exactly it closes, you know, because they had a lock-in date, in March.
It's
Right.
March 1st. Come out of next year's county budget.
And Sean, didn't we discuss delaying the start of the pilot for 1 year just to give us a chance to do the work?
Yeah, you would have a year for
Please,
project
I mean.
approval to close.
Seems like a decent project.
Well, based on their work in the Village Plaza, I think. they
Right.
have a Good track record here. so.
Beautiful.
I think it's a great project. It's an eyesore basically right now. And it'll be a nice improvement to the village. Very nice.
Agreed.
And you get a lot of medical people in there. That'll bring people hopefully from Orchard Park, East Aurora, you know, into our village and support us, retails.
Good. All right. Well, I will, David, as you know, we'll review the project, the resolution at our meeting on Wednesday. And with any other first call for questions or comments on Iskalo 17 Long LLC. Second call for questions or comments on 17 Long. Third and final call for questions on 17 Long LLC. All right, a motion to close the public hearing for Iskalo 17 Long LLC at 8:53 a.m.
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Norma.
Second.
Thank you, Mayor. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, thank you. David, please try to rest up. We hope we get better soon, and thank you for your continued investment in Hamburg.
Appreciate
Investments.
it. Thank you, everybody. Good to talk to you all today.
You're welcome.
Bye, Jennifer. Thanks for
Bye,
joining.
everyone.
Bye, Jack.